And
What time do you usually wake up?
3 in the morning.
Oh wow,
3.
that's
Yeah,
a
I
bro.
post
I
about
thought
it.
I wake up early. I wake up at 4, 3:45.
Imagine.
You're like at 3 in
Yeah,
the morning.
and when you start your day early and you go to the gym per se,
Yeah.
and you're driving by these neighborhoods and these houses, and then you're seeing all of the lights off of the houses,
Yeah.
you're like, bro, I'm already
That means
up.
you're doing something different,
Yeah.
right? Welcome to the Limitless CEO. Today we have a special guest, Anderson Develops, that I met a
go.
few weeks ago. I mean, he's a great guy. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Anderson Lizarazo. My brand is Anderson Develops. Guys, I'm here. Thank you for the space. I'm here because I came to this event that happened this weekend, and we happened to connect, which I appreciate the space, this podcast. If this is your first time watching this podcast, you definitely have to connect to more, and you have to see the rest of the podcast that these guys are dropping because it's very valuable. I am a land developer in Florida, not just Florida. I've been doing this for many years, so we do multiple states, and we develop meaning like we buy parcels of land that's like 10 acres, 100 acres, 1,000 acres, doesn't matter. And we basically entitle it, meaning like we get all the approvals with the city, and then we actually work with builders. So we at that point sell to builders so they can actually build
Right.
what we have entitled. So that is kind of like my business model, developing land or entitling land. And also we can build, we can take it all the ways to the phase of building, but is usually for us, faster and better to work with a builder that actually has all the equipment, all the stuff, all the people, and then work with them at that point. It's also a faster model. But that's what I do. I also do real estate, like all type of real estate, flipping, wholesaling, multifamily, single families, Airbnbs. I've done it all.
Right. But like, you say you were Anderson. What's your last name? I didn't catch it.
Lizarazo. It's
Lizarazo.
yeah, Lizarazo.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I always met you by Anderson
No,
Develops,
no,
and I'm
no.
like,
I'm Anderson Develops.
I
Yeah,
was just
that's my brand.
wondering. Oh, that's your
I,
brand.
I
But
carry it everywhere.
That's your last name, right?
Yeah. Anderson Develops is my brand, and I introduce myself sometimes as Anderson Develops because it's my brand and it's
Yep.
what people know. I just kind of came up with the develops because people always ask me, "What do you do?" So when they see Anderson Develops, it's like, "Oh, I see." When people are in real estate and they see Anderson Develops, they know what I mean by Anderson Develops.
Right.
But yeah, my last name is also kind of hard to pronounce in English. So I'm Hispanic. So when I came to the state,
even in Spanish,
even in
I can't-
Spanish,
I
even in
already
Spanish,
forgot the
it's funny. It's funny, but even in Colombia, which
Yeah.
I'm from Colombia, even in Colombia, like Lizarazo is kind of like it's kind of like a hard name to pronounce. But anyways, my last name here, every time I introduce myself to like the white people that speak English, it's like Anderson Lizarazo, and they're like
When I heard your name, I'm like, "Are you white?" I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, the Anderson part, which by the way is my name, but in America it's not seen as a name; it's a last name, so it's
Right.
kind of confusing.
Yeah, I thought is this a guy with the two first names?
I have had
last names.
I have had people call me Lizarazo as if it was my name.
Yeah.
So it's but it's funny, I love
How
it.
do you come
I
up
love
with this name?
Anderson develops. So one day I'm thinking about my brand and all the stuff that I do, and I'm like, and by the way, at the time I had all my social media, not all of it, but a few social media as Latin investor, Latino or Latin investor.
Where does that came from?
Just an idea. I looked for it on Instagram and it was available. So I
Oh,
was
really?
yeah. So I was like Latin investor.
But before looking it up, like who gave you that name?
No,
Was
nobody.
it
I
you?
was just typing in different like on
Google?
Instagram,
On Instagram, yeah.
and then everything was taken. And then I'm like, what about Latin investor? And it was available.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be there. But I figured like it was putting too much. Like it wasn't really telling much of what type of investor I was.
Yeah.
I'm a real estate investor.
Right.
Number one, and number two, it was putting kind of like a barrier between Latino and non-Latino people.
Right.
So I'm not just Latino. I also do a lot of stuff with Americans and with people in Asia and other stuff like other people's um other cultures. So I'm like the Latino, I just don't want to just disclose that or kind of like just have that out there. So I'm like I started looking for other names, and then the one thing that I wanted was to find a name that was available on every social media.
Right.
Because I
Across the
didn't want
board.
it to be the Latin investor on Instagram, and then Anderson Lizarazo on let's say Twitter,
Right.
and then on Pinterest that was something else, and the other one I was the Colombian guy.
You
I was
want it to
like,
be across the board.
I just want to be exactly, and if I'm finding something, it has to be throughout. And then I happen to find Anderson develops, and I'm like, because that's who I am and what I do.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you wanted to have just for the audience, like
Yeah.
all across?
Yeah, so you guys definitely need to brand yourself. Like I started learning about this a few months ago, and I have seen the growth of my social media from like no followers or like 400 followers, 500 followers to like drastically like starting to increase because I go to a lot of networking events and
Yeah,
conferences and stuff like that. So
100%.
every time I go, I'm like, hey, Anderson develops.
Yep.
And you can follow me on social media, Anderson develops. And when I say you can follow me on social media, I'm not just saying follow me on Instagram because what if they don't have Instagram? Oh,
Right.
you have Twitter? Oh, follow me on Twitter. Oh, you have Pinterest? Follow me on Pinterest. Anderson develops. Follow me on bro. I have a LinkedIn. I have a what's the other one? I have platforms that I never even thought
Yeah.
they were for like social media people to like post stuff. Like I post videos on Pinterest
Yeah.
that I thought Pinterest was to like find ideas of like, let's say I want to remodel my house and I get ideas from Pinterest.
Yeah.
I post in Pinterest
Oh wow. So you could
video.
do the same post that you post on other
Yeah,
media there.
yeah, I repurpose it. So I
Okay.
have a social media manager. What I do is we do the videos and then he does the rest. Like he has a it's called repurpose.io. Take notes of that.
Yeah.
Repurpose.io is a platform that I just post on, let's say, on Facebook, or
Yeah.
he does post on Facebook, and then repurpose.io takes it every single where: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Like there's so many places that you can post nowadays. That's it's just crazy not to post. And it's the same video. It's the
Yeah.
same even content, the same captions, the same everything.
We're gonna start doing that too. We
Yeah.
usually do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
WhatsApp, and Twitter. But we
Yeah.
haven't done Pinterest. I didn't know that was a trend.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. Like I'm saying, I was, and that's the reason why it's important to have mentors because I was not even posting on, I wasn't posting on Twitter, and my mentor goes and says you need to start posting every single word.
How often do you post?
So I'm posting one every day, once every day.
Right.
The goal that I have is posting 4 times a day.
Okay.
It takes a lot of time and commitment and like actually, okay, I'll do it and get it done
Yeah.
because you have to like, let's say you have to set aside a day to record multiple videos of you going to meetings, like me going to land development deals or me going to like a flip project or me going to a multifamily. So it kind of takes a lot of your time. But if you can hire a videographer or
Yeah.
even like have your spouse or your son or your mom or your dad, whatever, like have someone come with them and have them record you, and be you, just be you. You don't have to act different. You just do you. If you're gonna go to a meeting anyways, just
Right.
have someone that's there and tell the other person, hey, I'm trying to build my social media. I'm almost like 99% sure that
Yeah.
the other person is gonna be okay with that because
Right.
everybody is seeing exposure right now, like is the new currency.
Right.
Like being like having that exposure on social media as
Yeah.
as your brand, as your what you do. If you're a realtor, for instance, and I come and I call the realtor and I say, hey, I'll be bringing my videographer. Are you okay with that? That person's gonna be like, of course, and tag me and make sure that that I come up in the video because
Yeah.
they want to have that exposure to my audience.
Do you have a specific time when you post? You say you post 4 times a day. So is there like a preference?
No, so I learned about that. I was actually kind of like following some patterns,
Yeah.
and then I figured that as long as you post, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
There is sometimes that are
So
better
a
than
post is
others,
better than no
but
posting at all, right?
a posting once every day or twice a day is better than trying to figure out what's the best time. I'll tell you a few times. I know the 11 a.m.s. And you
Right.
can Google it, by the way. Maybe I'm wrong with the 11 a.m. I know that we usually used to post at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Because that was like the best time. But also, if you're in the West Coast, it's different than if you're in the East Coast, like me in Florida,
And also depending on the audience, right?
depending on your audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was in Florida, because I moved to Florida from Washington State, so I was on West Coast time, moved to Florida, I started posting, but all my audience was from West Coast.
Oh shit.
So yeah, so it's like I nowadays I don't follow that.
Yeah.
I just follow posting every day.
And do you like run analytics to see what's your audience like
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
what
I,
time
I
do they
check,
watch?
I check, I check usually who's my audience, what age, is it male or female mostly. So I know who like what is my audience wanting to see
Yeah.
a little more as and if they like one video more than the other. Like if I have a Lamborghini, so if I'm driving the Lamborghini and
Yeah.
and people like that, then I continue posting more on that. If I drive the Lamborghini and people are just not liking that, then I try not to post on that. But also, like I said earlier, it also comes to being you.
Yep.
It's not like I'm gonna go and I don't know, jump from a building because my
Yeah.
audience wants
Are
to
you
see
gonna
that.
are you gonna be like Brad Pitt or something?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'll be like, I'll just be me. But if people like something more than something else, and I do that, then I start posting more on that.
Right. So if the audience wants something else, then you'll post it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I appreciate all the people that follow me. Which, by the way, you should follow me, Anderson Develops, on all of the social media.
100%. Go and follow Anderson Develops in all social media channels.
Yeah,
But so tell me a little bit. Like I know you're like an investor, real estate. You do land development. But
yeah,
where do you come from? How do you get into all this? Like what's Anderson like when he's
yeah.
5'7"? Like as growing up.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate the question. So I was born in Colombia, in Cali, Colombia. Um, I since I was a kid, I had a lot of like desires of growing as a as a person, as a successful person. We grew up in a lot of like need. A lot like my whole family was like growing up. It was like in need and poor, like all the struggle, the real struggle. Because a lot of people in the US say, "Oh, I grew up poor."
Yeah.
Like you had a car, yes. You had at least a phone or a way to communicate. Yeah, okay, then you were not that poor
Yeah,
then.
because a lot of people from other states, they're like, oh, like from here, they're like, oh, I don't have nothing.
Yeah,
You have a house, you have a phone, you have a laptop,
yeah,
you have all these opportunities, and then
yes,
people from other countries, they don't even have a phone, they don't have a
yeah,
house.
yeah,
It's
not
it's
yeah.
difficult for other people,
Yeah,
right?
like being poor in a third world country is way different than being poor in the US. But anyways, so I grew up, in a family that was, not like homeless,
Yeah,
but we were in need. And so as I was growing up, I remember two people in my life, two people. One of them was very successful. He was a developer, but not land developer specifically, but building developer. So what he will do is he will build like towers, and he was my
right.
uncle. Another guy, very successful, but in not a positive way. Like he was in stuff that wasn't good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah,
was always, worried about his life and worried about like
he was successful in the on the mafia
on
side.
the bad stuff and the Colombia bad Colombia stuff.
Right,
So I will look at these two
Pablo
people,
Escobar
and
stuff.
both of them had a lot of money,
Yeah,
but one of them was basically just, like no photos, no social life. Like he was miserable, to be honest. He's dead right now, by the way.
wow.
But he was always like worried about his life and worried about this, worried about that. Whereas my uncle, that was a developer, he was always happy. He was always inviting us. He was always like open, and he will fly or drive from Bogota to Cali, which is like a 8 hour drive,
Right.
and he will bring like his nicest cars. And but he was doing it humbly. He was never a show off or anything like that. He was doing it to like, help the family and to
Motivate the
like
family.
motivate, and not just motivate, but he will do it just to visit. and
Right.
and it was like, it was one of those visits. I was growing up 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and I was like, man, so to have money, you either have to be on the mafia or you have to be a developer. You have to be in real estate. So that's kind of like how I'm like, no, I'm going for this side, right?
Yeah.
But I started to like analyze that the real estate was like very, it was a good stuff.
Successful.
It was good stuff, and it was, I loved what he.
Is that where develop came from? Developer,
Yeah,
develop?
yeah. I want to say the whole real estate in my mind
Yeah.
since I was a kid growing up. Even though I didn't know what was the word real estate or what it meant, but I saw the buildings.
You
I'll
knew
tell you this.
you knew you had to do something.
Yeah, I'll tell you this story. When we'll go to Bogota to
Yeah.
visit my tío, my uncle, we will be there, and let's say we're going to some place in Bogota, right? Like just
Right.
for the weekend. And as we're driving to that other place, my tío was driving, and then he'll go like, "Oh, this building right here, we did it 5 years ago." And then we'll continue driving. 5 minutes later, oh, this building we, let's say, build it 10 years ago. I'm like, and then he will
Wow.
continue driving out. Oh, look at that building. That building was this. So he will literally drive by subdivisions or by like by projects that he will be like this and that and that. I'm like, bro, that feels so
He
powerful.
was inspiring you.
Yeah, especially because they were high rises.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is, I
So
wanna be.
he built a high riser from the ground up.
Yeah, yeah. He does all the, basically he has the company that does everything.
Yeah.
He's the contractor.
Right.
But his main focus is the actual structure of the building, like all the concrete that has to go, and all everything that has to do with the actual structure
Yeah, the
of,
foundation.
yeah, foundation up.
Yeah.
And then once he's done with all the structure, then the rest of the people come and finish the other stuff. But now he does everything. And
Right.
his daughter, which is the one following the
Is he still
company.
in Colombia?
Oh yeah, oh,
Okay.
they're building, yeah.
Yeah.
um and so to
Do you
me.
stay in touch with him yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was there. I have a photo of one building that they were building 13 floors
Oh wow.
in Bogota. Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, when I was looking at that as a kid, and then comparing my life, like I'm always like, with a family that's in need, and then I'll see my uncle and his daughters and
Yeah.
everything like so successful, and so like money was not an issue. Like he will go to a restaurant and like, you guys get whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, like I want that, like in a good way. I wasn't being, like it wasn't envy, it wasn't none of that. It was just like an inspiration.
Right.
And he probably doesn't know how much inspiration he put in my life, to be honest, as a kid, like growing up. So I started to think about buildings, and like right now, matter of fact, my dream in my life is to build an skyscraper. that's
The
that's on my
skyscraper.
that's on my vision board. So
Yeah.
one day,
You
well, I
sound
don't know
like
how.
Mayweather.
Mayweather,
He's like, I
yeah,
have 23 skyscrapers.
skyscrapers,
I
yeah.
went to my 24th one.
Yeah, like Donald Trump too.
Yeah.
But my that's kind of like my dream right now. After like, I know I'm barely 29 right now, so some,
You're young.
yeah, I have ways to go as far as that goes. But that's in my vision board for sure. But I'm saying that to say that, so we started like, I started doing kind of like analyzing like what I needed to do, like the real estate, the buildings and stuff. And it wasn't just that I was doing it for the money, which that's a mistake that a lot of people make. They
Right.
go and they, oh, real estate is money. Okay, let's go there. No, like also follow your passion. In my case, it was just as I was growing six, seven, eight, I started to get, attracted by like buildings and towers
Right.
and development and
Enjoying the
construction,
process.
and joining the process. So I get to the US when I'm
Yeah.
17. We moved looking for a better life, like many Latinos, like
Yep.
many Hispanics.
Yep.
We get to Washington State,
Right.
and my first thing is I need to start like studying, and I need to start like working, and I want to already have my car. I never depended on my dad. As far as like, even though as I was growing up, he will pay for everything, but when I started to realize 12, 13, 8, 14 years old, that I was able to make money, I'm like, I'm gonna make the money myself. And if I'm gonna buy a car, I was never that kid that will get a car at 18 or 17 or 20 or 21. I will be like, I would need to work hard, so I buy the car.
Yeah.
So as soon as I get here, I start working. I start going to college. I get my degree in project management as a bachelor's degree. And as I was going to college, I met this guy that he was building,
Yeah.
which
Was
is
this in
Washington.
Washington? Okay.
Yeah, Washington
So
State.
so you moved from Colombia to Washington when you were what age?
So Colombia, I left Colombia at 17, but
17.
I lived in Costa Rica for almost a year.
Oh,
So
you
I
moved
got here
so you moved from Colombia
to Costa
first?
Rica. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. And you had family in Costa Rica?
Yeah. I still do have family in Costa Rica. So we get to Costa Rica, and that was less than a year. It was like 10 months. So I got to the U.S.
Yeah.
about to be 18. I think I
How's
was.
Costa Rica like? I never
Oh, it's a
been there.
beautiful place, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. The people there are also just like Colombians and like
Oh,
Mexicans,
really?
very like inviting you, like very welcoming you, very like, it's like family.
Right.
Always. Costa Rica, bro, is a beautiful place, honestly. Just like Mexico. I've been in Mexico many times.
Yeah.
My wife is from Mexico, by the way,
Oh,
and
wow.
now we have a
Where's she
kid.
from?
Michoacan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, her family is from Michoacan, but now they live in They live in Colima.
Yeah.
So it's next to Michoacan. And I've been in Mexico so many times that I just love it. I have gone more to Mexico than I have to Colombia,
Oh.
which my
That's
family in
good.
Colombia doesn't like that. But
Yeah.
so I get to the U.S. and I'm like, man, if I was given the opportunity of being here, I need to take advantage
Right.
and take action.
Right.
Not just take. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, you're in the land of opportunity." Yeah, but take action.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of Latinos in the land of opportunity not taking action.
Right.
If you're here, take action.
Right.
So I got here and I started, like I said, going to college, and I met this guy. He's a builder. I'm like, hey bro, will you mind if I go and oversee your projects just for free? You don't have
Yeah.
to pay me. I just want to go there. And I was already going to my bachelor's degree. And I said, whatever I can help with, I can be there. So I'll drive for almost like 40 minutes,
Right.
and every single day, pretty much.
So you used to stay in Washington and then drive 45 minutes
yeah. So
just to learn?
just to learn.
Wow.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
And if anything, I had to pay for gas. So I also had another job that was
Yeah.
paying me like money.
Right.
So
That was
I
like
was
the side hustle?
yeah, this right here was like my foundation to my success, pretty much. Like I was investing on me, on learning, on and also bringing value, because
Right.
that's what the guy saw. Which, by the way, now we're friends. We're
Yeah.
super good friends, and we have done stuff together. So
It's
it
amazing.
goes a long way.
Yep.
But when I started to work, and analyze his deals and stuff for free, I will bring ideas, or I will bring like questions that will lead to a better system,
Yeah.
or I will bring something that I was always trying to bring value. Because to me, it wasn't just about me not getting paid and asking him, hey, when are you gonna pay me? I never asked him the question. I
Right.
was always doing it for just because I was wanting to learn
Right.
and also bring value. So he saw so much of my
How
passion.
does that felt like working,
it
not getting paid,
to
and
be
then the
honest,
commute,
it felt
long
good.
hours?
No, it
It
felt
does.
good.
Okay, you like the process,
I
right?
like the process, and I knew it was part of, like, if I one day wanted to be Anderson Develops, the
Yeah.
guy that's developed hundreds of like homes and subdivisions. It's like I needed to start there.
And this company was about developing.
No, it was about building new houses one at
Okay.
a time. It
Right.
was like one house. When that one was done, then the next one.
Right.
When that one was done, then it wasn't also like a big builder, because a big builder would have probably said no, because there's corporate, there is like
Right.
big builders are
But the guy needed
different.
help as well,
But he
right?
was, yeah, no,
And
he
you.
was, and this is the nicest guy. His name is Alfredo. He's Fred Istas is shout out to you, brother. You're awesome. And he gave me the and he said, because I have spoken with him, like I
Right.
said, now we're friends, and I've spoken with him, and he's like, I just saw the drive in you. I saw the passion, the motivation. I knew you were different.
Yeah.
And so we just, going to his projects was like a good thing.
Yeah.
For me, it was a great thing. And doesn't matter, I had to pay for gas, I had to pay for, even when I will be there, I will have to pay for food and all this stuff, but I was doing it very
How
passionate.
long did you do this?
I did it for okay, so I did it for like 3 months, because I was planning
Yeah.
on doing it until, I doing it, and
Right.
then learn from it, and then go to that whatever next level was gonna come. But I was doing it, and then throughout the first house, he saw so much motivation and passion that he told me, "Hey, Anderson, we're gonna have another house. If
Right.
you don't mind, or if you want, I can also pay." I think he started paying me for like gas and expense, like it was just
Expenses.
sufficient to cover, but I was already
Yeah.
doing it for free.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, I'm okay if that's what you want to do. Let's go. And then we ended up actually pretty much partnering on deals. Like he was paying me now a commission base
Right.
after that second phase. So
Right.
the third phase was like continuing to build more houses, and I was a project manager, and I was going to school for project management.
At
Getting
the
my
same time, like you
At
were
the same
doing.
time,
Yeah.
yeah. At one point, I had two full-time jobs and college.
Mm.
In
Damn.
college, I was taking extra classes too.
Damn, bro.
And
How many hours did you sleep?
I know, bro. It was my I was if I've lost 35 pounds right now, back
Wow,
then, I
35 pounds.
yeah,
That's
in
amazing.
three
How
months.
long?
In three
Damn.
months, yeah.
Yeah.
If I lost 35 pounds in the last 3 months, I think that era, I was like probably in my 150s. So I'm 169 right now.
Yeah.
I was so like I literally went full
Yeah.
in. And I'm not saying people to go full in and don't eat and that stuff, but I
Yeah.
had barely time for me, because I was in my early 20s.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my time. I want to be big by the time I'm 30.
Right.
So I started doing that. And then he offered me the payment, and then he offered me to continue working with him. And then one point, he moved to another city, another place far away. And that's when I said, well, I've learned about new construction, I'm going to start my own. And that's when I started Investment Construction LLC, which
So,
is,
so you started that like after like a year of working with this guy
I
and
want to
going to
say maybe
college.
2, maybe 1.5 years. Yeah, it was like I got my bachelor's degree in
Yeah.
project management, and I already had my
In
company open.
Washington.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
and I already had my company, my LLC open.
Yeah.
And I started with that one, remodeling. I started like building custom houses,
Right.
and then I started flipping houses. Like it was like 3 phases. My first phase was like doing remodels, like
Yeah.
the remodels that nobody else wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like remodeling a
Dirty work.
basement. Oh man,
Yeah.
remodeling a basement that was like 2 hour drive from my city.
Yeah.
So I will have to drive to the place, stay in the truck where I was yeah,
Yeah.
the truck that I used to move the materials and stuff,
Yeah.
stay there, sleep there. And when the basement was a little more finished, then
Yeah.
sleep in the basement. And it was just
Yeah.
like me going all in. Like when there is a definition of like going all in, I guess that's the definition
But
of going all in.
this was you and it was your team, or it was just by yourself, or
You
you
know,
had
it was
contractors,
it was me it
subcontractors.
was me and I hired someone that was helping me, so it was two of us. And
Right.
by the way, it's funny, but I was doing this dirty work, and I was sleeping in my truck, and I was in the basement of the house, the project that was
So
dirty
yeah.
still. And I already had my bachelor's degree.
Wow.
So I'll tell you how many people will do that. Honestly, like
Not a lot of people.
yeah, a lot of people will be
That's the
like, "Oh, I
1%.
have a degree. Oh, let me get a let me
A
get a
tie
tie
and a
and let me
suit.
just a suit and let me look all sharp." But I
Yeah.
was doing it because I knew it was like building my own company. Like at the
Right.
time, people actually told me like, "Anderson, why are you doing the dirty work? You can work at Hanford. Hanford is a place in near Tri Cities, Washington. That it's a governmental stuff.
Yeah.
So you get paid with a degree like like a bachelor's degree in project management. You can get paid a lot."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why are you doing that?" Like I'm sold on my project, my idea, my vision of what I want to accomplish,
Right.
so I'm gonna go all in. So I was doing all of these dirty work, and then that was the first phase pretty much. Then I got an opportunity to build a new construction customized house,
Yeah.
and I'm like all in. And
Yeah.
this was a previous client that I had met through Alfredo before.
That's a
So
referral.
so she saw me working,
Yeah.
and then she's like, "I want that kid to build my house." And I
Yeah.
remember her husband was like pretty much against me building the house because
Right.
he's like he's too young, and
Cause you still look young. Yeah.
I've always had a baby face.
Yeah.
So and it was kind of like against me pretty much,
Yeah.
having that baby face. So is that guy? Are we gonna trust our savings to that
Do
kid?
you have that beer back then?
No, no beer, no nothing.
Yeah.
No, it was now
Nice and clean
it's a
shaven.
little better, but
Yeah.
before it was like my baby face. Like I was 23 and I was looking like 16.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but anyway,
good.
we
That's
got to
funny.
build a house and then flip houses, and then we got into development, which is what I'm doing today and what I love doing, by the way.
So you started Anderson Develops, and now what do you do exactly right now? Like, what's your main focus? Because I know you do a bunch of stuff. You do mentorships, conferences,
Right.
and then and like you do flips,
Yeah.
wholesaling,
Yeah.
and then develops.
Yeah, so my main thing is developing land.
Mm.
We have a company. We rebranded from Investment Construction LLC. That
Yeah,
was kind of like a long name
yeah,
to Infco Group, which is INV, the first three letters, the first two letters, and then LLC. So Infco Group LLC. So Infco Group, what we do is we find parcels of land anywhere in the states, anywhere in
yeah,
the U.S. that is buildable, that doesn't have like easements, like flood zones, that doesn't have like setbacks that are not allowing us to build, that are at least 5 acres, and that is, like I said, buildable.
yeah.
So we look for parcels of land that's buildable over 5 acres. And what
Mm.
we do is we start the process. We have kind of like
Is there
engineers.
like a purpose on going over 5 acres?
Yes. The reason why is because when you're doing less than 5 acres, and it doesn't have to be always 5 acres. We have done one or two exceptions, like 4.5, four
Right,
point eight,
but it's preferable
or
to be
three
over.
point. We did one, or we had it under contract at 3.9, where we were able to build 61 units.
Right.
The reason why 5 acres is because sometimes we get people that send us like half an acre or 1 acre or 2 acres, and you can only build one or two houses. So the same headache to build two houses than to build 100 houses. And by
Right.
the way, to clarify, when I say building, not necessarily that we built the houses, because I'm not technically, I'm a builder. I'm a GC in
Right.
Washington, but that's not what I do.
Yeah.
My main focus is not building the houses now. My main focus is getting the land prepared for the builder,
Mm.
whether we build it or someone else builds it. Because I have had the opportunity to actually also build an entire subdivision.
Right.
But my main focus is getting the land prepared for the builder.
Right.
So say you're a builder,
Right.
and I find these 20-acre parcel, which by the way, we're doing one that's 25 acres in Florida. So I found this 25-acre parcel, and then we started the process of entitling it, meaning getting it approved with the city, and going from like a 25-acre that's only allowed for agricultural use,
Yeah.
like cattle and farming and stuff like that, to now getting it approved to build houses. So once that process is approved, once that's like 100% approved, you are talking about like six figures profits just
Wow.
by doing that. Because the builder,
Yeah.
you bring value to the builder. So me personally, that's the reason why I mentor
So it's also
people.
saving them time. You do the work.
A hundred
You
percent,
entitle the property,
100%.
the land, and then just hand it to them, and that's where
Yes,
you make the profits.
exactly. So we get it prepared to
Yeah.
the builder, because builders are, most of them
Yeah.
are in the business of building, and they don't want to be around the getting the entitlement. Like I
Yeah.
said, most of them. There's some builders that do, but many of them don't want to go through that whole getting it approved and getting waiting 6, 7, 8 months. Builders are mostly in the business of building,
Yeah.
rather than in the business of getting something approved. They have people, they have equipment, big equipment, they have payrolls, they have so many things to worry about. Like they want to start building tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so that's the value that I bring a parcel that's ready. Hey, you can start building this tomorrow.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and so they pay and they usually pay like you. I haven't had issues with builders where they don't pay, or they're like, oh, wait for me,
But do you set the
because they have
price,
the
or do
money.
you guys negotiate pricing as well, or how's
Yeah,
that?
so
How's
we
that like?
leave a lot of meat on the bone, is
Yeah.
what we call it. Like I do the entitlement, and we always make like multiple six figures, but we do it to where the builder himself can make multiple seven figures.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like we make money
So you
because
make it like it's just a no brainer.
it's for the
Like
builder
Alex
is like
Hermosi said, you make
exactly.
it so good, it's stupid to say no.
Yeah, stupid. Yeah, stupid if I don't. The whole process is like the builder is buying something that's bringing him so much value, because not only he's gonna make money on the construction,
Right.
he's also gonna make money on the actual improvement, the infrastructure of the whole subdivision.
Yeah.
So it's like something that's ready for them to like take it.
Yep.
Here you go, you can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
So people tell me like, oh, you wholesale land to builders, like trying to compare wholesaling to flipping.
Yeah.
And it's similar. The only difference is that the wholesaler usually finds the property and assigns the property. I find the property, improve the property, and then assign the property, either assign or that will close, or close and then sell. But we usually do one extra step.
Nice. And how do you find these properties? Like this
So we
land?
have a system. We
Yeah.
have a system, and now that we're mentoring people,
Yeah.
we're partnering up with people. So I cannot do it in every single city of the U.S.
Right.
So we need more people. We need more people that want to learn the whole model and want to actually start developing as well, like start entitling. So what we do is, let's say you're in, I don't know, Phoenix, Arizona,
Yeah.
just to kind of give an example,
Yep.
and you're like, in my market, I have seen land left and right that's over 5 acres that I think is buildable, and I help people, or I teach people how to figure out if it is buildable, if it has flood zones, if it has any easement setbacks, what's the zoning, what's the allowance, what if it's got utilities, if it's got capacity. Like there's many things that I go deep with
Yeah.
the mentees, so they learn those things and they learn on themselves. And then the first few deals, we do it together. So I basically tell them, if you find the parcel and I do the entitlement, then we get, we split profits. So it's a good model because people learn and people also make a lot of money doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of land here in California, but I don't know if it's like the same process. Is there like a different process over there, like in Miami?
Right.
or
No.
Washington?
Once you do it. So I learned that when I moved to Florida.
Right.
And I moved to Florida more as a challenge myself, because I was already developing land in Washington. And it was like, I know multiple builders, I know the city requirements, I know everything. So when I moved to Florida,
Yeah.
before I moved, it wasn't that I was moving the company, I was expanding the company. So I was not just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna move to another state and not do anything more in Washington.
Yeah.
No, I was actually learning, like, let me see how it works in other states, and then I go to Florida, and then I reach out to some parcels, and some we have someone that's helping us find parcels in Texas as well.
Yeah.
And so with these guys, and calling the city and calling my engineers and making sure that we can get stuff in Texas. And wait a second, it's the
Yeah.
same in Texas. So it's the same in Washington, it's the same in Florida, it's the same in Texas. Now let's check Georgia. So we're analyzing some stuff in Georgia. Wait a second, it's the same. So
Yeah.
now we're like, okay, the sky's the limit. Idaho and Oregon, we're already, my partner already analyzed and done deals in Oregon and Idaho. It's the same process. So I'm like, this is like, this is a business model. At that
Yeah.
point, I figure like, wait a second, we can make a system out of it. And if people want to learn to do it, I can teach them how to do it. And I can also teach them not only the skills, but how to do the first one with me so they make a lot of money.
Nice.
So
And how many deals do you do at the same time? Because it takes a long time to close.
yeah.
Like
So
6 to 8
so the
months?
the key about land development, and maybe the reason why many people don't do it, is because it takes time.
Yeah.
When you flip a house, you can do it within 3-4 months.
Right.
When you do a land deal, it can take at least 6 months, at least
Right.
6 to 12, in some projects 24 months. So the thing about land development is you have to have a good reserves. Like if all you want to do is land development, then you have to, and like in my case, I was flipping at the time, and then one day I started saving because I was wanting to go to that next layer of like land development.
Yeah.
And even though I had a lot of savings, I was still flipping houses while I was doing my first development.
Right. Do you
So,
still flip houses?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have Airbnbs, we have flips that we do. We don't wholesale properties. That's the only thing that I'm not doing no more. But we flip houses every now and then.
How is that our Airbnb like?
Airbnb is a good business. It's definitely a good business. I've
Do you own the properties and rent them?
yeah, I own multiple Airbnbs in Florida. I've learned that California is actually helping a lot of Airbnbs per se. Like there's a lot of new regulations. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but what I'm saying is compared to Florida, Florida is kind of like trying to find ways to like reduce Airbnbs because it's affecting a lot of the hotels. Like there's
Right.
a lot of hotel business in Florida, so they're trying to kind of like find ways of like Orlando, for instance. You can have an Airbnb in Orlando City,
Yeah.
but you have to occupy the property more than 50%
Right.
of the space. From what I've learned in the last few days from other people that own Airbnbs in California is you have ADUs, you have
There's a
Airbnb.
lot more regulations here in California, I
Well,
think.
I heard that there are regulations, but it's allowed. Airbnb is allowed. So
Yeah.
in a way, I feel like maybe I'm just speaking, and I need to kind of like analyze a little more about Airbnb in California
Right.
before I speak too much because I know your audience is in California.
We're just throwing ideas. I don't know
We're
anything
throwing
about
ideas, but
Airbnb.
what I'm trying to say
I
is
know my niece does that, but I don't know anything about
right.
it.
Compared to like the Florida stuff that I'm doing, I
Right.
feel like it's actually better in California than it is in Florida right now. So to answer your question, is Airbnb a good market? It's definitely good stuff. It's a good business. It's a good business model as well as making money. But I feel like in the next few years, maybe 2 to 3 years, is gonna start getting hit by a lot of like regulations.
Yeah.
So whether I will put all my money right now in Airbnb, yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. New York, for
Yeah.
instance, New York is one of those states that is banning Airbnb. So people who had Airbnbs now they can only have Airbnbs if they live in the property, if it is their primary home, and there's like more regulations.
Right.
So I feel like that's where potentially the whole U.S. is gonna go, but who knows?
Right.
So just be careful before you make any investments.
How is the mentorship like? Because I know
Yeah.
you have the flips, the Airbnb,
Mhm.
the land development, and then the mentorship. How is that like?
Yeah, the mentorship is one of my. So I told you about the main income
Right.
is through the IMCO group, which is a land development company, and then the second efforts per se, or the second company that we put in a lot of efforts is the mentorship,
Yeah.
because we have many students or mentees that want to learn about land development. So in a way, I have to make the land development very successful and like the main business per se, because people want to learn about that.
Yeah.
So imagine I'm mentoring people and the company is not doing well. Then people will be like, "Why are you mentoring me for?"
To be
So
credible, yeah.
yeah, it has to be credible. So the Infco Group is definitely growing as a company and is
Infinite Group.
no Infco Group.
Oh, Info.
Yeah, Infinite was the one
Mm,
yesterday.
I get it confused.
Yeah, you heard me. No, Infco Group is the company with the land development, and then people want to learn about that. So when they want to start developing land, then I bring them into deals that I'm doing or deals that they bring me pretty much, and then we do it together.
Right.
The mentorship is a great thing and is helping a lot of people more than money, because we have two packages per se. Like one is a higher level elite membership, the other one is like an entryway. It's very affordable. It's for a full year. Both
Yeah.
of them are for a full year, so you get to connect with me like one on one and learn.
Nice.
The second one that's very affordable is for people to like connect to our Zooms that we have every month. I mean, every week. Every week we
Yeah.
have Zooms every week,
Yeah.
and we also do a one on one. And with that, not only we do talk about land development, because a lot of people are like probably thinking, "Oh, I don't do land development, or maybe that's not my passion."
How much
We
how
do.
much money do they need someone like let's say someone that doesn't know anything about business, how much money do they need to get started?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Because a lot
Um,
of people think land development, I'm gonna need
yeah,
hundreds of thousands, millions of
yeah,
dollars, you know?
yeah. It's not the case.
And a lot of people don't get into real estate for that same reason.
Yeah, with the land development, like I said, with the land development, like maybe you're not passionate about land development. It sounds beautiful, it sounds great, but maybe you're like, yeah, I don't think that that's the case. So we don't only teach people about land development, but we teach them about real estate in general, how
Yeah.
to flip houses, how to wholesale, stuff like that, and we go over an optimal five that we call.
Yeah.
So with the optimal five is the five things that we need to have an optimal life, which is, I'm gonna leave this one for last because you'll see why. It's finances,
Yeah.
is fitness, like
Right.
all the stuff that we have, like our body. Like I said, I lost 35 pounds.
Yep.
Is the freedom,
Hmm.
that mindset, pretty much. The
Right.
freedom is kind of like if you had some obstacles within you, like, oh, I don't speak the language, or oh, I have an accent like myself,
Right.
or oh, I don't know how to talk to people. Like that's freedom. We set you free, pretty much. Like we help you set yourself free. And family. Family is pretty much love, is relationships. The last one, and I think the most important one, is faith.
Right.
So we basically we're based on faith. We're believers, so we believe that with God everything is possible, and all the stuff that I have personally right now is because of God. He opened the doors. Like I would have not been in the U.S. and done everything that I've done if it wasn't because of God. So the optimal five, and we teach people every week, where we go over like mindset stuff, faith stuff, fitness, finances, freedom, every week on Zoom meetings. And you said, how much does it take to get it started? It's only $2,000,
Yeah.
and that's for a full year, having access to me and my partner, which he's a doctor. And by the way, the other thing with that is that he's a doctor and he's a trainer. He,
Right.
he can train you to build muscle. He can train you. He can help you with macros, which macros are the when you eat food,
Right.
you're eating either carbs, you either eating either protein, or you're also eating fat, or you can do the three on one meal, depending, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't control the carbs or the fats, and you don't eat sufficient protein, then you're not leveling. Like you're not, like, it's not like right now when I'm eating, it's not that I'm eating less, it's not that I'm eating unhealthy, it's actually that I know what I'm eating now, and that's how I got to lose 35 pounds.
Yeah. So
So
he'll give you a customized diet for
yes,
every
for
person,
you, so
depending
you
on your
get,
goals.
yeah, so you get fit, so you get like
Yeah.
better in shape. And then of course he helps you. We have an app that
Yeah.
helps you with like actually building muscle, and going to the gym and doing that if you want to go that route. But
Right.
you have multiple ways how you can actually do it, and everything is included with the optimal five. With it's a Avanza movement.
Right.
We call it the Avanza movement because this whole thing is gonna actually is a movement. It's gonna change your life.
Yeah.
So it's $2,000. Is that's the affordable one. If you want to go to the elite one, it's $20,000. But that one goes on one-on-ones with me every single week. Like we're pretty much connected, or Dr. Ray,
Yeah.
which is my partner, and we're pretty much like going and deep into like how's your life right now. Let me see your finance. Let me see your numbers. Let me see how much you're doing in your business. How can we scale that? How can we go to the next level? And then the mindset that he brings is very valuable as well.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. two thousand
Yeah,
dollars is a no brainer.
yeah,
It's
no
just
brainers.
no brainer. Just $2,000 four times a week.
Yeah.
That's what, like, 4 times 50. No, 4 times 12. That's 48.
Imagine
48 Zoom calls. That's a
imagine we
Zoom call,
do,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a Zoom call, so
Yeah.
we connect every week. Imagine we do, imagine we help you make with that a land deal. We do a land deal together, and you make way more money than $2,000. Now
Right.
if you want to really go deep into land development, then you definitely have to do the 20,000, because the 2,000, it will get you to my Zooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's good, it's very valuable, it's got a lot of info, it's got a lot of stuff. But when you really want to go the deeper level into land development, like Anderson, teach me everything you know about land development, then 1 hour a week is not gonna get you as much information as going one on ones and doing deeper stuff.
Right. I really like the way you guys n- set it up, like the optimal five,
Yeah,
because I really know, like, taking care of yourself first
yeah,
is really important. Taking care of your body,
yeah,
because if you can't take care of your body, then you can't take care of other people.
yeah.
And then the faith, being with God,
Oh yeah,
having God with you at all times, that's
yeah,
really important. And then about the mindset,
yeah,
freeing yourself,
yeah,
and then the diet. So
yeah,
it's all kind of connected. So it's
yeah,
kind of cool that you guys have it that way.
yeah. And we call it, yeah, it's optimal five, and it's actually like if you want to live an optimal life,
Yeah.
you have to live the optimal five.
Wow. So
Yeah,
there you go. If you guys want to sign up for their mentorship,
let's
just
go
follow Anderson Develops,
on
and
Instagram
then
and everywhere.
you guys can sign up.
Yeah, 100%. You should definitely do it right now. By the way.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any, like, three books that you would recommend?
Oh, I love that question. Highly, well, I will highly recommend
Well,
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
three books that for people that are getting started.
Yeah, yeah. Rich Dad Poor Dad is the first one I will read.
Right.
First one. Seven Habits of Highly Successful People.
Yeah.
Another great book is mine. It will help you with your habits. It will
Right.
help you like organize your thoughts. About Rich Dad Poor Dad, it will help you with your finances.
Right.
So one will help you with finances, kind of like organizing and understanding why, what's an asset, what's a liability.
Right.
What's the difference between someone that makes a lot of money as a doctor? I think he was the rich dad,
Right.
that then become the poor dad, and then the poor dad, quote unquote poor dad, that then became the rich dad. How he was pretty much doing what I was saying.
Right. Yeah.
He was doing all the hard work initially, and then he went to the next level.
Right.
Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. It's a good book as well. And another book that helped me a lot was the 5 a.m. Club.
5 a.m. club.
Yes,
Wow.
and I will add to that that if you want to do it even better, try to do 4 a.m. or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Like try to wake up early to start your day early. So when you, let's say when you start your day early and you go to the gym per se,
Yeah.
and you're driving by these neighborhoods and these houses, and then you're seeing all of the lights off of the houses,
Yeah.
you're like, bro, I'm
That
already
means you're
up.
doing something different,
Yeah,
right?
people are sleeping right now, and I'm already like, going to the gym.
What time?
And
What time do you usually wake up?
3 in the morning.
Oh wow,
Three,
that's
yeah,
a
I
bro.
post
I
about
thought
it.
I wake up early. I wake up at 4, three
No,
forty-five.
imagine.
You're like at 3 in the
Yeah, and
morning.
I do that, and I do that, intentionally. I do
Right.
3 a.m. because a lot of people say, "Oh, I wake up early." They wake up at 5,
Yeah.
right? 4 is like, "Oh wow," but when you say I wake up at 3, it's like it kind of sets you apart. Like, who's this guy,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I learned that, by the way. It wasn't me. I'm not the only one doing the 3 a.m. stuff.
Right.
David Goggins, he's waking up at 3.
That's the high military guy
Yeah,
that runs
yeah.
like a million miles,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nonstop.
He's doing 3 a.m.s,
Yeah.
and that definitely puts him apart on the room. Like,
Right.
people look at him like, oh, this is a 3 a.m. guy.
Yeah.
So I started applying that like 2 months ago. I put it myself as a challenge on 21 days, and I said it's non-negotiable. No,
How
doesn't
do you
matter on
feel waking
Sunday,
up at 3 in the morning?
bro. I feel amazing.
Yeah.
That's the thing that people think, and I usually go to sleep at 9:30. So
Yeah.
people think like, oh, Anderson, you must be like tired, bro.
Exhausted.
When I wake
Yeah.
up at 3, I'm going. Like the first 3 minutes, 4 minutes is an internal battle. It's
Right.
like your body doesn't want to go up. Your old Anderson, in my case, your old Anderson is like, oh, I can continue sleeping. Like on a Sunday, my first Sunday waking up at 3, it was like, it's Sunday, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's Sunday. But then it gets to a point, and just make it a non-negotiable. 21 days.
Yeah.
3 a.m.s. You do your morning routine. You can pray. You can do your devotional. You can do your write your goals, affirmations, all the positive stuff that you can do. My gym opens at 5,
Yep.
so I usually have 2 hours, 1.5 hours, because I drive about 25 minutes to my gym. So I have from 3 or 3:05 to like 4:30 or
Yep.
4:35 to like actually do all my praying, all I usually read at that time the
Right.
Bible, where I do like all my internal meditation and all this stuff,
You
affirmations.
go planning as well, like planning your day, or you do it a day
Yeah, I
before?
usually plan because I have a calendar, so I try to plan like, okay, today I usually, that's 1.5 hours. That's like fully like
Just dedicated to you.
100%. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
the
Because there's no
first
noise. There's no one calling. Like you could take
I have
advantage
a
of your
two. He's
time.
gonna be two, a two
Yeah.
year old boy.
Yeah.
At that time, he's sleeping, bro. When kids they wake up,
I
they're a
know. I have
hurricane.
4 kids, so I know how it is.
They're horrible. Like, when they wake up, it's like you don't have peace of mind. Like, as far as like they're everywhere, they're throwing stuff, and so at 3 to 5 is like perfect time. And then at 5, I'm at the gym.
Yeah.
5 to 6, 6:30, and then at 6:30, I'm jiu-jitsu class,
Right.
which I just started 2 weeks ago, a week ago actually.
Wow, that's pretty
So
cool.
it's a new journey of me, like learning, art, martial arts, and all this stuff. But I'm back at home, or ready
Right.
to go to the office around 7:30 to 8. So by the time it comes to 8, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
By the time it comes to 8, and I see someone is just barely waking up, bro, it's
You already did what they're gonna do in the whole day. You
yeah.
did
And
it
it's not that, yeah, it's
in
not
the
that you're
morning.
gonna make them feel bad, because
Yeah.
I don't make people feel bad, but it's internally on my mind, is like I feel encouraged to continue doing it.
Right.
I'm saying it in a good, positive
How long
way,
have you
like
been
it's
doing this?
motivation. I started 3 months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I started when I met who's now my partner,
Yeah.
but a mentor. That he's Dr. Ray. He's the one that's gonna help you with the mindset, with the fitness, with the. He's a trainer and a doctor.
Right.
So I joined his mentorship, and I started to notice that my mindset started changing just by talking to the guy. He's like, Anderson, you're capable, bro. You're Hispanic, you're Latino, you're killing it. You're this, you're that, and he helps you with the mindset. And I started because I used to, I was very shy.
Right.
If anything, I'm not this Anderson is it's the new version of me. But I used to be the Anderson that was a little more shy, and then I would say, oh, what about my accent?
Yeah.
What about, like, what if I don't know a word? Because English is my second language. I learned English 10 years, less than 10 years ago.
Oh,
Because
that's
I moved to the
amazing.
States 11 years ago,
Yeah.
and it took me like maybe 4 years to like actually get the language. So if anything, I've been speaking English 6, 7 years. So to me, it's a new language.
Right.
But so I had a lot of like, like, what if this, what if that, and then these guys like, bro, f that. F this, F that. Like, don't think about people. Don't think about what they're gonna say. Don't think about this. Wake up earlier if you can. And so all of these things start helping me build a mindset of the Anderson that you see today.
Nice. That's like a lot to take on, like all this information, and then also like all the things that you do, like all these five businesses you run.
Yeah.
How do you get time for to run all these businesses, your family, and how do you get to manage all this?
That's
Do
a
you have
great
like people
question.
working for you,
Yes.
managing, delegating?
Yes.
How's that
That
like?
you just responded the word, or you just said the word that I was gonna use as a response. You have to delegate,
Yeah.
and you have to be a keen in delegating.
Right.
And delegating is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I used to think that delegating was like, oh, do this for me, do this for me, do this for me, and I will be see him as a person that's like, oh, this guy, I don't want to be around this guy. No, delegation is you have to find talented people that like to do something specifically.
Right.
And I used to think that there was like maybe people like I used to think that people thought like myself. Like
Yeah.
everybody will think like, oh, I want to build a building.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
everybody wants to build a building. That's a lot of struggle. That's a
Yeah.
lot of like pain and a lot of
Headaches,
like expenses and
problems.
headaches and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is if someone puts me right now in front of like the person that's gonna help me build a building, it doesn't matter how much work, I will do it, even if that's delegated to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I'm doing something right now, and I was blessed as well to have a beautiful wife that she's operational. She does, shout out to my wife Lucero. She's operational and integrational. So I'm a visionary, and I like to see like what am I gonna do next year as a big thing. Like what is gonna be my goal for next year? I'm already thinking about what's gonna happen next year that I can do that's gonna grow the company and my brand and my family and everything, my health, everything on
Yeah.
the all the five stuff.
Optimal
So
five.
and the optimal five. So I think about that as a vision,
Yeah.
and then I have, let's say, my wife that's the one that puts it together, like the
Mm.
integrational and
She's in
the
operations.
operationals. And
Yeah.
then we also have an executive assistant to help us. And then we also have like this person and that person and that person and that person, videographers, and this, that like all of these people who are like helping us.
Right.
For instance, just the other day we had an Airbnb that was fully staged
Yeah.
by this couple, two Colombian young people
Nice.
that got it done, and I could have not done anything close to what they did. But because I
Yeah.
am open to delegating
Of
and they're
course.
open to doing it because they have talent and they love
You
it,
find the talent.
it's like, bro, let's work. So yeah, the key word on that, to answer your question, delegation.
And how do you find time for your family? Or when is the family time for you? Because I know a lot
Yeah,
of people it's like Sundays or
right.
it's just like an hour a day or
Right.
I don't know. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, I have to say that family for me is like pretty much always. The reason why I'm saying that is my wife, she works with me. We
Yeah.
work together, and then wherever we go, we usually bring my kid.
Yeah.
Or sometimes like he's about to be 2 right now, so he's gone through the first 2 years of age, which is like a lot of like babysitting pretty
Oh
much.
yeah, yeah, I
So
know.
so sometimes he has to stay home per se, and then
Yeah.
me and my wife go and do something. Like 2 weeks ago, I was here in California in a conference, and she was with me.
Yeah.
And this time she was actually gonna come with me, but there's some stuff that we have to do with the baby. So I try to every business that I do, I try to always involve my wife,
Yeah.
and in the near future, my kid as well.
Yeah.
Like right now, he's still kind of like probably not gonna understand, but as soon as he starts growing, 5 years old, 6 years old, I want him to be involved in like the stuff that I'm doing, so he know that I'm gonna force him to do it because maybe he doesn't, maybe he wants to be a pilot,
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't want to be in real estate, maybe he wants to be a doctor, but what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to bring my family so they're with me and they see what daddy does, and so they can do this kind of like follow me and stay with me at all times. So family time to me is I'm trying to make it always kind of thing. If I have a meeting or kind of like this podcast right now where I have to go just myself, it's 1 hour, 2 hours, it's okay, I go.
Yeah.
But try to stay with my family as much as
That's really
possible.
important. Having your family on the same page, and then taking them everywhere.
Yeah.
Getting the same mentorship
Yeah.
because you guys are aligned with your vision. And
Yes.
also getting your little kid like from now,
Yeah.
like their beliefs are gonna be way better, and they're gonna be a better person when they
a
grow
hundred
up. So
percent.
I'm really with it, and I like the way you think. So
Thanks.
yeah, I'm with your. we're really
Thank you.
alike how the way we think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I know we've been. I think I don't know if it's been almost like an hour, but I know you gotta leave soon. But where it's Anderson develops going in the next 5 years?
I love it. I love it. I saw that coming
Yeah.
when you were saying, "Where's Anderson develops?" So definitely, I see myself helping more people than I'm doing right now.
Right.
To me, the reason why I'm building the development company more is
Yeah.
because I want to be able to help more people through that. Not just development, but like real estate in general.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to mentor people. I'm trying to do whatever it takes to actually help more people, especially. I say especially Latinos. The only reason why I say especially Latinos is because I'm trying to connect with people that have gone through the same. They moved to the States or were born in the States and are just seeing like the same pattern. Like
Right.
their parents, their tios, tias, primos, cousins, aunts, like all of these family going through the same pattern. I'm trying to
They don't
break
have the
through.
knowledge. They don't
Yeah.
have resources.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody, like if I look back to me when I was 6, 7, 8, everybody will think that Anderson was gonna be the same average per se kid that everybody was thinking he was gonna be, right? Like nobody was giving anything to say Anderson's gonna be someone that's gonna be able to help thousands of people. But
Right.
I at one point I broke through that. Like it was a breakthrough, and I said I don't want to I don't want to continue the same family stuff that you were born poor and you grew up poor and you die poor. And when I say poor, I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it
Right.
like just living the normal 9 to 5, like not really fulfilling like something that's big in your life. Like all of us have goals and all
Right.
of us have like dreams, but sometimes they're like out of our mind because we think it's impossible.
Yeah.
I want to help people look at those dreams and goals and think that they are possible, no matter how big they are. It's just a matter of changing your mindset.
Right.
So I see myself in 5 years helping thousands of more people. And as far as business per se, I
Yeah.
see myself with a company that's actually building and potentially a part or investing in high towers.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
Yeah,
So I mean, I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. Thank you
thank
for
you.
coming over. I know we had a conference last it was
We have
yesterday.
two.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
one yesterday,
yeah,
one 2 weeks ago,
yeah.
and then
So
you're coming to. Which, by the way, do you mind if I share about the
of
Avanza?
course, of
Okay,
course.
guys. So if you want to pretty much be a part of like this energy and all the people that are actually going to help you take to that next level, you definitely want to come to the Avanza conference that's going to be happening next year, April 6th in Orlando, Florida. It's going to be a conference that's going to help thousands of people or hundreds of people in the business and in the personal side. Like it's going to take you to that next level because of the energy and the knowledge that's going to be dropped in the building. Like there's going to be amazing speakers. We're talking to Albert Preciado. We're talking to Alex Morin. We're potentially going to have some surprise speakers that are going to come to the Avanza conference, and the energy that we're going to have in the building is going to be out of this world. So networking, I met him through networking through a conference, and you definitely want to be in conferences because that will take you to that next level. So if you want to know more, go to my Instagram, Anderson Develops, and then the first photo, or just search into how to get the tickets on the bio description, and you will see my link there so you can get your ticket. Let's go.
So yeah, so he said it. 2024 Advanza, sign up. Anderson develops. You're gonna see right here on the bottom. You'll see the link so you guys can sign up for that. And yeah, and go and follow Anderson develops. He's a really knowledgeable guy,
Thank you.
and he's a great dude. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right,
you. Let's go.
let's go.